Hi there. I'm Suri Deitch, and I'm here to welcome you to the webinar. We're going to wait another couple minutes because we know we have more people coming. Thanks for joining us. All right. Again, I'm Suri Deitch, and thanks for joining us. We're just going to wait one more minute while we let folks in to our Zoom room. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm Suri Deitch. Again, I'm Dean of the School of Professional Advancement, and I'm here with my colleague Sheila Gold, and we're really excited to have you joining us for this webinar this evening. And if you can turn on your screen, that's great. If you can't, that's okay. I see Shira, who's like walking around at work wearing a mask, looking very professional. Thanks for joining us. That looks like a lot of multitasking going on. And for everyone else, we really appreciate you taking the time to be here this evening. You can see at the bottom, well, probably everyone is an expert in Zoom at this point, but just in case you're not, you can see that there's a chat box at the bottom of the screen. And that's the easiest way to communicate with us during the webinar. I'm on with my colleague Sheila Gold, who's Director of Recruitment and Admissions at Tulane SoPA. And then our colleague Ann Conlon is behind the scenes running the slides. So, so the first thing I'll say is congratulations on thinking about graduate study. Good for you. And second of all, congratulations on thinking about us as the place where you might do it. So Sheila and I are going to talk this evening about graduate programs at SoPA in general and some of the things that cross all of our programs. So master's degrees and graduate certificates and post-baccalaureate certificates. We're not really going to have time to talk in depth about the specific programs and the content in those programs. And we do have webinars for each of the specific programs, and we'll be following up with you and we'll be in touch. So you'll have plenty of opportunities to learn about the specific programs. And I know that there are people on this webinar who have a lot of different interests. I'm actually wondering, as a first thing, if you could put your name and where you're calling in from into the chat box. And you can type it to everyone. That'd be great, just to get a sense of where people are at, if you're in New Orleans or the Gulf South or somewhere else. So Dallas, North Carolina, Nebraska, fabulous, New Orleans, Baltimore, New Orleans again, New Orleans again, New Orleans again. Fabulous. So in this school, we have students all over the United States and some overseas. And sometimes the folks who are overseas live in other countries and sometimes they're deployed. because we have a fair number of active duty military and people who work in businesses where they work all over the world. And that's one of the really great things about this school. So thanks for letting us know where you're at. That's appreciated. So I'm going to talk, first of all, about SoPA, as we call it, and how it fits into Tulane, why we think it's a great option for looking at graduate study, a little more detail about the services and programs, and then Sheila is going to talk about the admissions process and important information in that respect. I will say that our fall admissions deadline, we're still accepting students for the fall, and our fall admissions deadline is August 1st. And almost all of our programs are still accepting students, not every single one, but the vast majority are. And yeah, we'll talk more about that later. So SoPA is the most current iteration of a really long-term commitment that Tulane University has made to serving adult students and offering applied programs in many different fields. And so there's a long history, but we're able to do it in a 21st century fashion. And it's part of the mission of the university. And that's a really interesting thing, because that's not usually true for elite private universities, and it is true at Tulane. So that's really exciting. If you go to the next slide, there are sort of 5 major areas that we talk about when we talk about Tulane SoPA and why we think it's such a great opportunity if you're looking for graduate study. So the first is, always as relevant today as ever, if not more, is obviously online education. Don't worry, you can see my very large dog passing behind me because I'm in my dining room, right? Everyone is somewhere that's not where they're usually. We'll talk about, for a minute, about our programs and faculty. We'll talk about student services, affordability and flexibility, because that's a big focus of our school. And then we'll talk about what it means to have these programs at. All right. So first of all, online. We have been doing online education for a long time, and we do it really well. And the model that we use is a combination of synchronous and asynchronous learning, which means that there are times when you are on with your classmates, and that's with our graduate programs, that's once a month. And then most of the time you're doing work on your own, although you're still interacting with other students through discussion boards and group projects and peer reviews of work and things like that. So it's a highly interactive way of going to school, but it gives you all the benefits of being online, including being able to balance it with other obligations and busy schedules. And the slide that's up right now is just, it's pre-pandemic numbers. So lots of students taking lots of hours online, many faculty really well trained to teach online, which is different from teaching in the classroom, and award-winning programs, which is one of the ways that we acknowledge how good our online programs are. And we talk primarily about online because that's where most of our graduate study happens, although we also have campuses in uptown New Orleans, in suburban New Orleans, Jefferson Parish, and we have a few programs, graduate programs, where students take classes in person. And I'll say a little bit about that in a minute. So the next slide, which you're on, gives a little bit sort of what I was just talking about, the ways that we interact, the ways that we get our work done online. We always like to talk about our faculty. We have a mix of full-time faculty and adjuncts who are active in the field at the school, and so The 4 people who you see on the screen in front of you are just great examples of the kinds of experts we have. The 2 who are over on the right, Tyra Mitchell and Ralph Russo, both came from industry, but they're full-time. Tyra in our kinesiology program, so teaching in health and wellness and other programs in kinesiology. And Ralph Russo, who is the faculty member who directs our IT programs. So that's IT and cybersecurity and our cyber fundamentals graduate certificate. And then over on the left side, you see 2 of the folks who we pull in from industry, who bring their knowledge of the field, their real life case studies, and their professional networks to their teaching. So that's a little bit about our faculty. We have a few slides where we just quickly show you lists of all of our programs because we have a lot of them. Most of them are what are called Masters of Professional Studies, and those are degrees in many different applied areas. We also have a Master of Liberal Arts, which is a humanities and social science program that is mostly taught by renowned social science and humanities faculty from other parts of Tulane who love to teach adult students. And then we have a Master's of Public Administration. And actually the first cohort of that program, which is new, is starting next month. That's actually the one program where we are in the process of closing down admissions for the fall, and we're more focused on spring 2021. So that's the master's degrees. Then we have the graduate certificates. And the key thing about the graduate certificates is they're all what's called stackable. So we have the same admission standards for the certificates as we have for the degrees. And if you decide that you want a very specific body of knowledge in a field like sports security, because you're really interested in events and I don't know, stadiums and things like that, that is a specific body of knowledge. But then you can take those 4 courses and also apply them toward a master's in security management or a master's in sports studies. And so that's what we mean by stackable, that all of these programs are part of a master's degree. And so it gives you maximum flexibility. We also, on the next slide, have what are called post-baccalaureate certificates. And so these are in fields where the master's, the graduate level study is not as relevant, or the body of knowledge that we're teaching is doesn't necessarily make sense to teach at the graduate level, but you have to have a bachelor's degree already to study in these areas. So paralegal is a great example. Our digital design programs where the study is typically at the bachelor's level, other programs. So you can see, and then teacher education, where we have a certification program that is at the undergraduate level. Those are examples. I saw one question about stackability and the Master of Liberal Arts. And the answer there is the certificates are not stackable into the MLA. If you're interested in taking coursework that is in the social sciences in our other programs, then you should talk to us about whether or not you'd be able to apply it to the MLA. And there's a lot of flexibility in that program, actually, so there's a good chance that you would be able to. On the next slide, we talk about credit for prior learning, which is a big focus of our school because we have so many students who've been working in the field for a long time, or who are transitioning out of the military back to civilian life, or who have a lot of volunteer experience. And so one of the main ways that we award credit, graduate credit, for the experience that you've had is through something called portfolio assessment, where our faculty actually works with you to map your experience to the learning objectives of specific courses. You build a portfolio, then the portfolio gets graded, and you can get up to 6 credits from portfolio assessment at the graduate level. Our student services are a big focus and a big reason why our school is so great as well. So you are assigned an academic advisor who is highly experienced and works with you throughout your program to help you stay on track and make sure you're taking the right classes at the right time, and also, you know, figuring out how to balance being in school with everything else that you're dealing with, which, you know, that's a lot of things usually for our students. We also, of course, like I said, we have the faculty members who themselves are part of the career development of our students, as well as a dedicated career advisor who is, you know, very experienced in working with adult students and helping you figure out how you tell your career story and take the experience that you've already had, use it along with the education that you're getting, and have it add up to a lot more than what you started with, so that you can advance in your career. And then, of course, like we always say, then there's the value of being a member of the Tulane community for the rest of your life, and being a Tulane alum, and all the access to opportunities and services and career development that you get in that respect. I see a question about portfolio assessment, and we can follow up with you, Ashley, and connect you with the faculty who oversee that area, so you can start a conversation about whether or not that will be an opportunity for you. All right, and keep asking questions. But for now, I'm gonna hand things over to Sheila to talk about our admissions process.
Thanks, Suri. Welcome, everyone. Let me echo that. I am always appreciative. I say this to students who join our webinars all the time. I know that this is at the end of what is most likely a busy day for everybody, so I'm always appreciative when folks dedicate some of their time to spend with us. So I hope that we're giving you valuable information tonight. It's certainly stuff that we think is important for you to know, and we're always excited to talk about the great things that SoPA has to offer. One of the things that we're very proud about is that Tulane's education is incredibly rigorous, and we feel like the value of the degree is something that's going to have a lot of positive impact for any graduate. But at SoPA, we're very focused on the affordability. So our tuition is at a price point where we know that working adults will make an investment in their career, but that it is affordable as well. So for our graduate tuition per credit hour, starting in the fall, the tuition rate is a little over $1,000, $1,000.78 per credit hour. Most classes are 3 credit hours, and so students take 1 to 3 classes a semester. On our website, you can find a tuition calculator that I always like to let prospective students know about, that you can go on the website and put in how many credits you might think that you would take a semester, and it would be helpful for some students to play around to see how much a semester might cost. The other thing I like to point out to prospective students is that I know that when students apply, they're savvy consumers, and that you're looking at other schools and doing comparisons. At SoPA, we have very few additional fees per semester. Lots of schools have lots of fees that they stack on top of the tuition rates. We keep our fees very low. So when you're looking at financing your tuition, the vast majority of what you will be paying is tuition with just slight fees. And then of course, books would be included as well in figuring that out. Many of our students, if not most, look into financial aid. We do have a financial aid office available at Tulane that can be helpful with you during that process. I encourage students who are going through the financial aid process to fill out their FAFSA form. When you fill out your application for admission, the FAFSA process can take several weeks. So if you are anticipating that you will be applying for financial financial aid, go ahead and start that process in parallel at the same time as you're filling out your application for admission. And then other types of aid that's available to our students are grants and loans. We are a yellow ribbon school, which we're very proud of for veterans. And we do have, we offer 20% discounts for active duty military veterans and public safety personnel, first responders. In addition, Surrey had mentioned a couple slides previous to this one, our credit for prior learning. I think there was also a question that somebody posed. If you do get up to 6 credits for prior learning, that is also a savings. It's a little over $6,000 of savings of classes that you don't have to take because you receive credits. So factor that in if that's something that you're thinking about doing the assessment for the portfolio for credits. We try to make our application process at SoPA as clear-cut and transparent as possible. With that said, I also like to tell prospective students, if at any point during the process you ever have a question, reach out. We enjoy talking to students. We consider the application process the beginning of building relationships with our students. So we encourage questions. It's nothing that you need to be afraid of, but we also have designed the process to be pretty clear-cut. If you go to our website at sopa.tulane.edu/apply, you'll open up our application portal. It's as simple as putting in your name and your email address, and it opens up the application. There will, for many of our programs, be an essay associated with the application. There is a $50 application fee to apply. There is an asterisk next to this bullet point, because for those of you who have attended tonight's webinar, you will have your application fee waived. That's an automatic process. However, if for some reason it isn't automatically waived, glitches happen, just email us, and it's a 2-second process for us to waive that once we receive an email. We'll need a copy of a government ID. For most students, that would be as simple as taking your phone and taking a picture of a current passport or driver's license and uploading that image. And then we will need your transcripts from any undergraduate institutions, or even if you have some graduate work, any school that you've attended, we'll need you to send us those transcripts. They can be sent either by US mail, or most universities can send emails or send transcripts electronically. So our application deadline for those of you who are applying to start in the fall is August 1st. Sorry, mentioned that. You still have 2 weeks to go ahead and get that application in. And if you're looking for fall, we certainly hope that you will submit your application. For those of you who are planning not to start until spring, which is in January, our application is January 1st, the deadline is. And then for those of you who are really planning ahead for summer term, the application deadline is May 15th.
There was a question from Fidel about foreign master's degrees, and of course you're very much eligible to apply, and we'll just work with you to make sure that that your transcripts from institutions outside the United States can be evaluated. So it's pretty like any other school. It's pretty simple to do, and we work with World Education Services and groups like that to do that evaluation. Any other questions that people have, you're welcome to put them in the chat or unmute yourself and say something out loud. So we see a question from Janice about the GRE. We don't require the GRE in our school because we don't think that GRE scores are a good indicator of whether or not you'll be successful in doing graduate work for our programs. And actually, there's more and more of a movement away from the GRE. Just, in the past year, other schools at Tulane have stopped requiring the GRE. And, undergraduate grades, responses to essays, professional background, if we ask for resumes, which we do for some programs, those things are better interviews. Those things are better indicators for us of whether or not you're going to be successful in our program. So we don't require the GRE. Any other questions that people have? All right. So you're going to get an email tomorrow from Sheila thanking you for attending the webinar, giving you a recording of it just in case you want to watch it again, and giving you contact information so that you know how to follow up with us. Like Sheila said, we see the admissions process as relationship building. We do want to get to know you. We're very responsive, both of us and other folks who work in admissions at SoPA, as well as our academic advisors and our faculty who field a lot of questions from people who are considering coming to our school. So with that, we'll just say thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate your time. We look forward to getting to know you. And we look forward to seeing your applications for admission. So thanks so much and have a good evening, everyone. Bye.